In this Blender tutorial, I'll show you how to create this Procedural Sunbeams Pattern material. And if you'd like to purchase the project files with the material, you can get that with the links in the video description. And then once we create the material, I'll be showing you how to join it together into this node group so you can control and customize the look of the material. Now, as well as this just being like a cool kind of stylized abstract material, which you could use maybe for backgrounds or different patterns and things, this could also be used for some more realistic materials. So for example, in my procedural pumpkin material, I used a setup very similar to this to kind of make the lines which go down on the pumpkin. And also for my peppermint candy tutorial, I also used an effect similar to this to kind of create that sunbeams effect on the peppermint candy. So if you want to check out those different tutorials, then I'll have the links to them in the description. So there is the amount of beams, so you can control this just to control how many beams there are. Now if the value isn't a specific value, so in this case maybe it's like a 4.4, you can see that the size isn't exactly the same for all the beams. But if I turn this to a specific value, like let's say 5, you can see now there's just going to be 5 exact beams. So I'd recommend just changing this to a specific value like 6 or 10 or whatever you want to do. Then as well as that, you can change the different colors. So you can see there's color 1 and there's also color 2. So this could also be used to create like a cool background if you want to make it like a yellow color and then maybe choose like a red color or something. It almost has like a comic book feel to it. You can kind of imagine like a character standing right there and then have this in the background or something. So it is a pretty cool effect. Now there's also these two contrast values and I named them contrast and thickness. So you can see if I drag these around, it's going to change the thickness and also the contrast. So for example, let me just change these values to something like this. So now you can see there isn't very much contrast and there's a clear blending. Or I can make it really sharp by just dragging these values back. So let's just drag the first contrast up and then I'll drag the second contrast up. And now you can see it's a lot sharper on the edges. And you can also make them thicker and thinner. So for example, I could like drag this over and kind of drag this one over. And now you can see it's very thin. Or I could also switch that, so I could maybe flip it, and now you can see the black ones are a lot larger. Then there's also the roughness, and so this is just the roughness of the material. And then there's also the rotation value, so you can rotate around on the X, Y, and Z axis. So you can see I can rotate the rotations of those beams. Now another really cool feature of the node group is that we have this noise strength. So if I turn up the noise strength, now you can see it's looking really wobbly. So then once you turn up the noise strength, there is the scale of that. You can also change the detail, and then you can also change that noise roughness. You can also change the linearity, and then you can also change the distortion. So you can get some pretty cool effects by maybe turning the scale way up like that, then maybe turning up the noise strength. So you can see now we have a pretty cool wobbly effect. So if you'd like to purchase the procedural material, you can get it with the links in the video description. You can also check out my Ultimate Blender Procedural Material Pack if you'd like to purchase all of my procedural materials. And you can also purchase any of my materials individually on my Gumroad store. And to learn how to create more materials, you can check out my Blender Procedural Material Tutorial playlist. So in a new scene in Blender, I'm just going to select everything. We're just going to delete everything and I'll go to the add menu and I'm just going to add a plane. And I'm also going to go to the add menu and I'm just going to add a icosphere. And right after I add the icosphere, if I click right here on the icosphere settings, I'm just going to turn the subdivisions up to 6 so it is nice and smooth and round. And then I'm just going to shade the icosphere smooth. And I'm just adding these objects because I think they're good objects to preview the material on, but you can add them to whatever objects you want. So I'm just going to move the sphere over. And then if I select both of them, I'm going to rotate them. I can rotate them on the x-axis by 90 degrees, just so they're pointed in this direction. So now I'm going to go into the rendered viewport mode just to see what this is looking like in the rendered view. And I'm just going to go here to the world lighting and here on the color, I'm just going to make this fully white. And then I can also make the background transparent. So if I go to the render properties and open up the film tab, I'll just turn on the transparent button. And then also I'll go down here to the color management and I'm going to use the view of filmic and I'll change the look to very high contrast just to pop out the colors and make everything more contrasted and saturated. So now I'm going to click right over here to go to the shading workspace and I'll go into the rendered viewport mode. So I have the 3D viewport right over here and then the shader editor right over here. So I'll just add a new material to the object and I can just call this sunbeams. And then I'll select the other object and make sure that the other object also has the sunbeams material. And I'm also going to be using the Node Wrangler add-on. So I'll click on edit and I'll go to the preferences. And on the add-ons tab, you can just search for Node and you can just enable the Node Wrangler add-on and I'll show you how to use it in the video. So here in the shader editor, I want to start by searching for a gradient texture. So we'll just add the gradient texture and then I'll just Control Shift select the gradient texture to preview it. Now on the linear type right here, I want to change it to the radial instead. And then you can't really see the gradient. That's because I need to select the gradient, and I'm going to hit Control T, and that's going to add the texture coordinate mapping. That's using the Node Wrangler add-on feature. And then what I want to do is use the object coordinates instead. So I'll put the object into the vector. So this way, now the gradient is in the very center of the object. So if I just change it back to linear, you can see it's just going to be a gradient from one side to the other. But if I change it to the radial, you can see it's kind of centering there in the center of the object. And then as it rotates around, it starts out as black. And as it rotates, it gets lighter and lighter until it's fully white over here. So we're going to use this effect, and we're going to make all the sunbeams coming out of the center. So there's two specific math nodes that we need to create the sunbeams effect. So we're going to search for a math node, drop it right here, and then we're going to duplicate it and put another one here. So the first one, we're going to change to multiply, and then the second one, we're going to change this to the ping pong. So right down here under rounding, go to the very bottom, and here it is, ping pong. So let's first put the ping pong right here after the gradient texture. So what the ping pong is going to do is you can see it's going to make the black kind of smooth. So if I just click on the ping pong and hit M to mute it, it's black here and it goes all the way out to white. But if I turn on the ping pong, so hit M to unmute it, you can see the blackness, it gets fully black, but then it starts to get white again. So it's almost like a mirroring effect. So now we can just take the multiply and we can stick it here after the ping pong. And then what we can do is turn up this value. So if the value is at 1, you can see it just looks like how it was before without the multiply. But as I turn up the value more and more, you can see it's basically making copies of those little lines there. So I'm going to turn this to 18. I think 18 looks pretty good. And then for the ping pong here, there is a scale, but I actually don't want to change this scale. I'm just going to leave it at the default of 0.5. You can see if I turn down the ping pong scale, there's actually going to be more of them. But then if I don't turn it to a specific value, you can see there's kind of a black sharpness right there. So I'll just leave it at 0.5 and I'll use the multiply instead. And that's going to make more of them. So now what I want to be able to do is control the contrast. So I'm going to drag these nodes back and I'm going to search for a map range. Now you could also use a color ramp node if you want to. I'm going to use a map range node so that we have customizable values. So I'll just drop the map range right here. And now you can see we have the from min and the from max. Now you could also change like the to min and the to max, but I find these values aren't really that helpful. To make it really contrasted, you pretty much only need the from min and then the from max. So these two values. So you can see if I turn this one to like a 2.6 and then turn the from min to a 3.4, now it's very sharp. So I'm just going to set these up to something like that, just kind of play around with the from min and the from max. You can also hold down the shift key as you're dragging these values to make your movements more sensitive, and now you can see we have a cool sunbeams effect. But you can see the from min and the from max have these inputs here, so I can control them outside of a node group. So now what I want to do is add custom colors to this, so I'm going to search for a mix color. So we'll add the mix color and drop this here. And then we can also take the mix result and put that into the base color. And I can just Control Shift select the principled shader. Also make sure to click on File and just save your project. So now what we want to do is we want to put the map range into the factor. And so the factor is determining what part is going to be color A and what part is going to be color B. So for color A, I'm going to make this fully black. And then for color B, I'm going to make this fully white. That's just going to be my default values. But of course, you could change this to whatever you want. You could make it sort of like those comic book colors. If you want to make the values kind of like red and white or something, or red and yellow, something like that. But I'm just going to make this fully black. And then for color B, I'm going to make this one fully white. So now what I also want to do is add that noise distortion. So what we're going to do is go back here to the gradient, and I'm going to box select these nodes and drag them back here. And then what I'm going to do is search for a noise texture, and we can put the noise texture between the mapping and the gradient. So you can see it's going to distort it, but I don't want it to be that strong. So what I'm going to do is search for the linear light node, and we're going to put this in between the noise and the gradient. And then what I can do is just drag the noise texture down here, and let's just drag these back here. So what we're going to do is put this vector, the mapping vector, into color A, and then the noise texture, we're going to put the color into color B. And then I can kind of drag this factor around. So you can see if I turn the factor to 0, it's using the mapping, so it's not distorted at all. But then as I drag up the factor more and more, it's using more of this noise texture. So this way we have a factor value to control the distortion. And then you can also change lots of things like the scale of the noise and like the detail, the roughness, the lacunarity, and the distortion, just to kind of change how that looks. But I'm just going to turn the factor to 0 so that the default value is 0. Now, one more thing that I want to do is I want to search for another mapping node, and we're going to put this mapping node here before the linear light. And so this way we have another mapping node. So for example, if I turn up the linear light to distort it, we could use this scale or this like rotation if we wanted to rotate everything. But if we just wanted to rotate the gradient but not the distortion, we could, for example, rotate this. So now you can see the lines are rotating, but not the noise. So this is just another way to kind of rotate it or move it or scale it without moving around the noise. So that is it for the procedural material. So let's join it into a node group. So I'm just going to click and drag to box select all the nodes except the material output, and I'll press Ctrl G to join it together into a node group. I'll hit the tab key to go outside the node group, and I'm just going to drag the node group over here, and let's just drag it out to make it bigger. And I can copy the name and I can paste it here into the node group. And I might call it Sunbeams Pattern just because I like that a little bit better. So let's now hit the tab key to go into the node group, and I'll hit the N key to open up the side panel. And if you go to the group tab here, I'm going to double click here on the BSDF, and I'll just rename this to like shader because I like that better. So now if we go over here to the group input, we can plug up all the custom values. So the first value that I want to control is the amount of beams. Let's actually turn this factor back to the default. So turn that factor down. And so now the first value that I want to control is the amount of beams. And so that's going to be controlled by the multiply. So I'll take this multiply value and we're going to put this into the group input, and then I can double click on this to rename it, and I'll just rename this to amount of beams. Then we can control the colors. So I'll drag the group input over here to the mix, and we can put color A and color B into the extra sockets. And then we can just double click right here to rename this, and I'll just call this one color 1, and this one I'm going to call color 2. Then we can control the contrast and the thickness. So that's going to be these two values here. So I'll put this one, the extra socket, on the map range, and then this one, put it into the other socket. Now you can rename this to whatever you want. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to call this contrast thickness 1, and then contrast thickness 2 with kind of like a slash there, because it controls the contrast, but then also depending on the contrast level, it makes it thicker or thinner. Then I want to control the roughness of the material, so let's drag the group input over here, and I can put the roughness into the extra socket. And if you wanted to, you could also add like the transparency or the metallic value or other values. You could also control the emission value if you want to make it emitting light, but I'm not going to add those values. Now I also want to control the rotation, so if I drag the group input back here, there's actually two different rotation values that you could use. So if you wanted to, you could rotate this value, and if I turn up the factor, you can see now it's going to rotate the entire thing. Or if you want to, you could just rotate this value, so it's going to rotate the beams, but it's not going to rotate the noise. So I'm actually going to do that. So I'm going to take this rotation from this mapping and plug that up to the group input, so it's rotating the lines, but it's not rotating the noise. And then I want to control the noise strength, which is going to be controlled by the factor here on the linear light. So I'll put the factor into the extra socket, and I'll just rename this to noise strength. And then I want to control all the noise settings. So I'm going to put the scale, the detail, the roughness, the lacunarity, and the distortion into the extra sockets here. And then I'm just going to add the word noise at the very starting. So I'm just going to copy the word noise, hit Control C to copy it. And then right here, I'll just paste it. So we have the noise scale, the noise detail, the roughness, the lacunarity, and the distortion. So I can just hit the N key to close the side panel. I'll drag the group input back up here, and then I'll hit Tab to go outside the node group. So let's just drag this out to make it bigger so I can preview the final material. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. And if you'd like to purchase the procedural material, you can get that with the links in the description on my Gumroad store and Patreon page. And you can also check out my Ultimate Blender Procedural Material Pack, which comes with all my materials, and they're all pre-set up for Blender's asset browser with custom thumbnails, sorted catalogs, and customizable node groups. And to learn how to create more materials, you can check out my Blender Procedural Material Tutorial playlist. And if you do want to learn how to create some materials which kind of use this effect in the material, then you can also check out my Peppermint Candy tutorial, and you can also check out my Procedural Pumpkin material. I'll have the links in the description. So I hope you found this helpful, and thank you for watching.